Bruce McIntoon does it all here. We are going to do the 2018 batteries. We're doing the auxiliary battery and the main battery. I did a video about 4 years ago showing you how to replace the main battery and then just told you how to do the auxiliary battery. I did have someone comment, said take your ring off when you're working on batteries because it's super dangerous, because you could hit the thing and it could solder to your finger. So taking the wedding ring off, or any other rings that you might have, I typically will use these gloves. Fortunately, this video, I'm not in Minnesota anymore and it's not winter time, so I live in North Carolina, so it's warm. Anyways, so what we're gonna do, I've already taken this air vent piece off. Now we're gonna take the main battery out and the auxiliary battery. I'm gonna show you on the auxiliary battery, there's a bolt way down here that we gotta get out, and my extension from my socket set is not long enough, but I figured out last time, and I told in the video, that I've got an extension bit from my drill, so I'll show you all that. So just hang tight, we'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. So I got my extension bit from my ratchet set, but I also got this special little bit that I've got from my drill set, and I have my little extension on my drill, so I can put this in here, and that's how I can get all the way down to that bolt nice and easily. Now these are 10mm socket for every screw in here that we have to take off, except for that one. For some reason they decided to make that one a 13mm. Why would they do that? Anyways, alright, so there's two things that lock in our batteries. The one for your auxiliary battery is right on this strap here. So if you're not pulling up on it, it will just spin and spin and spin and not come up. So you have to pull up on it in order to get it out. At least mine, because mine might be stripped out a little bit. Anyways, so that's that one. The other battery on my 2018 does not have a strap on it. And so it's right down here. This one you don't have to pull up on. So now that's loose. When I made this video the last time, I had stuck you can get your socket in here and turn it back and forth because there's room in this little pocket. But if you have an extension, it goes a lot faster, especially with a drill. Alright, so now both of those are loose, and we're going to take out this bracket clamp. So remember, this part goes towards the battery, and when you put this back down in, these two little grooves, there's two grooves on the outside here that this will line into to make it easy in case you aren't sure about where it goes. Alright, you see. Now, the next part we got to do is we got to take off all the positives and the minus connections, so we can get back to this here. Loosen that up first. Now, in order to get this battery out, you have to completely disconnect this. So this opens up. Each one of these plugs is connected into the terminals. So you want to remember the color order. It's always black, purplish, maroonish, whatever color you want to call that, and white. Has to go back in that order. That's why the video helps, so you make sure you do that correctly. That's where my 5-in-1 tool, if you're a painter or some other contractors have it, comes in real handy, because you have to push down on this and then you can push out. And you just start loosening it up a little bit. You don't have to take it all the way out initially. Once you get this loosened up, then you'll be able to lift this up and then pull it out. There's two more wires here that are connected. You could take those off if you want to, but I found that once you pull these three off, you can just stick it back in this opening over here. And I got my hearing protection in too, so when I'm doing the drills and stuff, so I might be talking a little loud. So now that's loosened up.
This will be sped up. Yeah, you didn't need to talk. So once you're done,
There we go. It was just a little tight. So those are loosened up. They come out real easy. Now you got to close this again. There we go. Now that's out of the way. So if we can pull this up. Oh, look at that. Maybe you don't have to take that one off. I hadn't tried it that way before, but it seemed like it kept getting in my way last time. But if you can lift this one up a little, there we go. Then we don't need the 13 millimeter. Now, before you pull the battery out, you need to push these back and out of the way behind here. Otherwise your battery could catch on them. And to get this battery out with the auxiliary battery in place, you have to lift up on the left side and fish it out that way. But I'm actually just going to take the auxiliary battery out this time so I don't have to fish it in there as much. You take that, make sure you put this in a safe spot. When you've got one of these nuts, you want to put it in a safe spot so you don't worry about losing it. Now I wouldn't put it up here, because on these cars, if you drop something down, there's a protective barrier underneath and you have to take all the little plugs out of it in order to get that down, in order to find the screw, because I've done that before where I dropped something. It is not fun. Alright, so we pop the little red cap off of here to loosen this one up. Once we get that nut taken off, now we'll be able to pull that battery out. Here's a little tip for you. Once you've got these batteries all disconnected completely, if you leave it disconnected for, I believe it's 10 to 20 minutes, if you don't have it connected at all, your computer system will completely reboot. So if you're having any technical issues with electronics, a lot of times just taking the batteries completely off the battery charge terminals, completely off of the batteries, it'll reset your system for you and it'll fix a lot more problems for you. Alright, let's get this battery out. Alright, the auxiliary battery's out. Note, you got to take these pins off and put them onto the new one. These two little pins. We'll show you about that in a minute. I'll figure out what size they are too. We'll put that one to the side. Now we're going to pull out our main battery, which will be a lot easier with this other battery out of the way. Still got to tip it up a little bit. Alright, so if you look inside here underneath where your battery is, you can see where it says H6. That's the type of battery that this is. Because when I was at the store getting a new one, they asked if it was an H7 or an H6. And then it even shows you over here, it says auxiliary for the auxiliary battery. So we know where those two are. We already bought it. See these little plugs? There's something that I actually had on the bottom of the car, but I think I must have dropped one in here when I was working on it. So I can put that back in later. Alright, I'm going to grab the other batteries. Alright, we're back. Turns out it's not any millimeters. They went to a 5/32 for these pins that go in here. Now, they sold me some of this battery terminal protector stuff. Not sure if it's needed or not, but we bought it. So we're going to put some on the pin. Basically a little lubrication. I found with this stuff you don't need that much. It tends to usually spread out pretty far. When you put your pin, see these holes where it's threaded? Now we'll just tighten them down. Alright. Now those are ready to go back in, but I'm going to put the other one in first again. Get this one put away. Alright, let's get my gloves back on so I don't get all dirty or any more dirty. I'm a little dirty already. Alright. Here we got our Duralast Platinum. We got a Platinum the last time and the battery lasted past the warranty period, so that's usually a good sign that you got a good battery. So we're going to go with the same battery. Here we go. Set in pretty good. Fold that down. So there's protective covers that are on these batteries. Take those off. That's just letting you know that's going to be the red side, which is a positive. So you pull up, there's a little tab on the other side for the black terminal. So that's all we got to do there. We got recycling for that when we get to it. Alright. Camera guy's cleaning my car for me while I'm doing my batteries. It's pretty nice. Alright. Okay. Put that side on. Looks to be in the Alright. Now I'm going to get the other battery in place. And then we can rehook up all these other things. Go. All right. I'm going to put the strap down. That one will be locked in place. Alright. Now we've just got to put the last 3 terminals back on and those plugs. And we'll be all set. I'm going to finish putting this back on. Really wasn't any different than when you took it off. And when we get done with that, we'll show you what it looks like. Alright, we're almost wrapped up here with our project. We've got all the terminals connected back on. All of the straps are in. The little block down here is put back in with the screw on that. Now we're going to put this piece back in, which I didn't show you taking it out. You just slide it into its opening and then push back on it. And then you line up the 2 holes. Now this is all put back together. A couple things I want to remind you. Make sure you take your old batteries back to the store so they give you a core charge, they give you a refund. Our auxiliary battery, this is another big thing you want to make sure, is you buy from a good store that's going to keep track of when you bought your last battery, because the warranties are tied to that. So our auxiliary battery was actually under warranty, so when we bring our core back, we're gonna get all our money back for that one. So that one was essentially free. So make sure you check for warranty. We did buy this Duralast Platinum. It lasted longer than the 4-year warranty. It was at least 5 years. So we're really happy with that one. Now we're gonna go start it up. I'm gonna close the hood so it doesn't give me a warning light about the hood being open. And when we were gonna, we figured out we needed to replace our battery, the car, when we pressed the button, it really didn't do much. It would go, and then it'd stop, and we'd have to push the button again, and then it would finally start. So we knew that it was starting to go bad.
It's like when your toothbrush is out of battery, you have to like hit it really hard.
Sometimes, yeah. All right, let's see what happens. Started right up. All right, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you again on the next one.